Hello, it's a beautiful spring morning in Ovingdean, and I am come to look at St Wulfran's church. It's a very old church and there are some interesting burials in there. Some well-known Brighton names. Also some sad stories too. St Wulfran's is an 11th century church which is normally open during the day, and it's right next to some beautiful fields on the South Downs. Now, if you do visit, they've got some little plaques to some of the famous people in here. And the first one is this grave here. Sophia Jex-Blake was born in 1840, died January 1912. She was an English physician, teacher and feminist who led the campaign to secure women access to university education. She was the first practicing female doctor in Scotland, one of the first in the United Kingdom and Ireland, leading campaigner for medical education for women, and was involved in the founding of 2 medical schools for women in London and Edinburgh. She was born in Hastings and died at Mark Cross, Rotherford, Sussex. There's a memorial to her in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. This is a family grave with quite a few Jex-Blake family members on it. Further up this path on the left is another important woman whose house I went to make a short of. It has a blue plaque outside. There's her little arrow pointing to her grave. Here is the grave of Helena Florence Normanton. She was the first female barrister in the UK and the second woman to be called to the Bar of England and Wales in May 1922. When she married, she kept her surname, and in 1924 she was the first British married woman to have a passport in the name she was born with. Apparently in October 2021 a blue plaque was put outside her London home, and there's also one outside her Brighton home that I filmed. So she did a lot of firsts. And her headstone says Helena Florence Normanton, born 14th of December 1882, died 14th of October 1957. buried with her husband, Gavin Bowman Watson Clark. Just opposite her grave outside the church is this very sad one here. This is the grave of Keith Merrill Rodley LYon. Died 6th of May 1967, aged 12 years. Always in the thoughts of his sorrowing mother, father and brother. So Keith was murdered in a place not far from here called Happy Valley. Apparently he was stabbed with a kitchen knife and abandoned beside a bridle path. And no one has ever been prosecuted for it. So yeah, it's a very sad story. And it looks like he's got his mother and father buried with him, as their inscription is on either side of the grave. Then we go just over the path to this grave here. And here is the grave of Sir Melville Leslie MacNaughten. Born 1853, died 1921. He was the Assistant Crime Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police from 1903 to 1913. His funeral was on the 18th of May at St Gabriel's, Warwick Square, Pimlico, after which he was brought to Ovingdean for his interment, as that's where his family are buried, as a memorial to his father inside the church, which we will go and have a look at. In this corner is the local Geere family. They were local farmers who lived in the Grange opposite the village green. This one is to the body of William Geere, son of Thomas Geere and Mercy, his wife. Died 1712 in the 55th year of his age. Just up here, I believe his sister, who's also called Mercy Geere, daughter of Thomas Geere, born the 8th of September 1641. And some of these other ones are just too old to read. Okay, here's another son of Thomas Geere. Died the 25th of March 17 something. This one's in quite good condition, probably protected by this tree here. But this is Thomas Geere, who departed this life the 7th day of November 1695, in the 74th year of his age. And next to him is Mercy Geere, the wife of Thomas Geere, who departed November 1671 in the 49th year of her age. Just over the way is a tomb to a well-known Brighton family, the Kemps. Think of Kemptown. There's quite a few of them on here. The one we're looking at here is Charles Kemp, who's actually the cousin of Thomas Reed Kemp, who's responsible for the development of Kemptown. His father, Nathaniel Kemp, built Ovingdean House in 1792 and lived there until his death in 1843. Charles started business in 1866 at the Kemp studio for stained glass and church furniture. He was heavily involved in the refurbishment of St Wulfran's Church, completed 1867. 11 of the stained glass windows in the church are designed by him or his company. He added a final E to his surname to make it look medieval. His business was highly successful and he eventually achieved international fame. Towards the end of his life, he was commissioned to produce a window of St George for Buckingham Palace. And here he is buried with a lot of his other family. In the grave with him there is Edith Kemp, his brother John Kemp, Augusta Kemp, the second wife of his father, his father Nathaniel Kemp. Then you got Martha, his father's first wife. I'm not sure who Samuel's mother is. Sarah, the wife of William Kemp. Can't quite make that one out. Adelaide Louise Kemp. And it looks like here might have been a coat of arms. Right next to him I've just seen this one. Don't know much about these people, but the cross stands above to the glory of God and in memory of John Riddle Stockley Roper, Captain R.A., great-grandson of D.R.R. and M.R., who died in India January 9th, 1935. Also of his father, James Stewart Roper, priest, son of Major Charles Roper, died May 14th, 1943. Also of his wife, Elizabeth Charlotte, died November 26, 1960. And then on the side, we've got Reverend John Riddle Roper, eldest son of David Riddle and Mary Roper, born 19th January 1798, died August 22nd, 1886. Martha Roper, their eldest daughter, 1797 to 1883. Joshua Roper, their fifth son, 1808, 1861. William Roper, their sixth son, 1811 to 1856. Mary Roper, their ninth daughter, 1820 to 1905. And then on the last side, David Riddle Roper, Esquire of London and Brighton, born July 12th, 1773, died April 11th, 1855. And those of Mary, his wife, born December 21st, 1775, died March 30th, 1847. There's another name that most people recognise, Magnus Volk, 1851 to 1937, inventor and electrical pioneer, and of his only daughter Muriel May Castledine. Magnus Volk was born and died in Brighton. He was part of a family of inventors. Some of the things he built was the Brighton and Rottingdean Electric Railway, which had a Daddy Longlegs vehicle. That's not around anymore. another short-lived line at the pleasure grounds at Aston Hall in Birmingham. He made an electric car for the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, for which he was awarded the Order of Osmali. This was presented in person by the Sultan in Constantinople. He invented a fire alarm system. He was the first one to have electricity in his home in Brighton, as well as doing work on telecommunications and installing electricity to the Royal Pavilion for the first time. Of course, his most well-known line was the Volks Railway, which is still on the seafront and is the oldest electric railway that's been in continuous use in the world, that is. So, a very accomplished man. He's buried here with his only daughter, and a little bit further up in the cemetery is his son, who's also an inventor. So let's go find his grave. This is Volk's son, Herman, and his wife, Ella. It says, Ella Volk, beloved wife of Herman Volk, a brave woman, died 16th February 1920. And of Herman, died 26th of April 1978, aged 98 years. Herman, with his brother, had a workshop in Gloucester Road, in the North Lanes, and they actually invented seaplanes that would take tourists out over the sea. He was particularly interested in aviation, established a seaplane station near the railway line, of which his father did not quite approve. So yeah, he was very accomplished in his own right. Just along from Volk Jr., we're going to have a look at the grave of a soldier. There's another Kemp there. Not sure if they're related, but possibly. The soldier's grave is actually this one. This is the grave of Captain John Robert LYon Fellows. He was born in India in 1911, died November 1945 in Stinning. He was from the Rifle Brigade, the son of late James William Fellows, formerly of the Indian Police. And he died from wounds received at LYon. And you can see he's buried with his father, who's marked along the bottom. It's a bit overgrown, but it says John Robert LYon Fellows, Captain 1st Battalion Rifle Brigade, died from the effects of wounds received at LYon, December 8th, 1945. Next to him is Nora Moore Fellows, 1877 to 1977, 100 years old. And down at the bottom, James William Fellows, born 15th of March 1869, died 2nd of April 1925. Now we're going to go into a newer section, Let's have a look at the grave of another soldier. So here's a new section, and just up over there's a new section. But this one's always interesting, this large one. This monument was erected in loving memory of Ivy Luck, died 1962. Her life was spent in the service of others. But we've come to have a look at this one. Loving memory of Wing Commander Neville William Grant Baker, 1924 to 2019, who served humanity on 3 continents with loyalty, courage and good conduct. And he got his mother underneath. Neville Baker was born in London, second child of an RAF pilot during the Great War. He joined the RAF, and on D-Day itself he was on a ship bound for South Africa. During the war he was based in Egypt and flew transport aircraft through North Africa, the Middle East, Afghanistan and Pakistan. He spent time based in Zimbabwe, and Sri Lanka. Apparently he flew helicopters for the movie Bridge on the River Kwai, which starred William Holden and Alec Guinness, and won the 1957 Academy Award for Best Picture. He flew helicopters for the James Bond film Man with the Golden Gun. In 1970 he retired from the RAF and went under contract to the Sultan of Oman's Air Force. You can see a logo for the Sultan of Oman's Air Force on his headstone. After 40 years of military service he retired and moved down to Ovingdean and is buried here. So he certainly did a lot as well. And then we're going to have a look in the new section, the even newer section, just to show you the view, because it's a very beautiful place. As you can see, very beautiful place on the Sussex Downs, and I'm going to have a look at these lambs. And mother's not impressed. A little baby's hiding behind the water. Just in this headstone to George Kitchen Nutt, Died at Kemptown, 1856, aged 7 months. Unusual name. Just come across this one. Loving memory of my dear wife and son who were called suddenly. Doris and William Tozer. So she died 22nd of Feb 1952, and he died 2 days later, 24th of Feb 1952. And then there's also a memorial on the same grave. Cyril Alfred Mason, beloved husband of Edith Mary, who also passed suddenly, 17th October 1953. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Trip inside the church. Got an icon of St. Wulfran. It says this chapel was erected in 1907 on the foundation of a Norman chantry which was destroyed by fire AD 1377. Got a statue of Our Lady of Walsingham. Yeah, it's a very ancient church. So there's the memorial to Nathaniel Kemp, father of Samuel Kemp, who we saw outside. Nathaniel Kemp of this parish, who during a long and consistent life exemplified and adorned the principles and precepts of the gospel. Humility, integrity, and Christian simplicity distinguished his character. Full of that faith which worketh by love, he was a friend to the poor and a zealous promoter of every Christian and benevolent institution. Beloved, revered, and lamented, he came to his grave in full age and departed in peace, relying solely upon the merits of his Redeemer. Born July 20th, 1759, died May 16th, 1843. And next to him is a memorial to his wife that I can't read all of it from here. But his wife Martha died 1821, aged 66. There's an interesting memorial here. Margaret Caroline Christopher Ryle died February 21st, 1915, aged 23, while acting as a Red Cross nurse in Serbia. Just here's a memorial to Sir John Emer. He was Mayor of London, Alderman and Colonel of the Royal East London Militia, died at Brighton, March 29th, 1823, aged 73. Also Mary Lady Emer. His widow, who expired in faith and peace, August 13th, 1842, age 83. And here's the memorial to Elliot MacNaughten, the father of Melville MacNaughten outside. Entered into rest December 24th, 1888. Right underneath him is one to Richard Anthony Riley, died in an aircraft disaster in France, 3rd of March 1974. I always think it's nice that this church offers you a little drink. That's it from St Wulfran's in Ovingdean. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.